is a special episode of Hendrick Home on the Highway because we have now been officially living full-time in our RV for one whole year.
1 year.
Woo-woo! So we thought it might be a fun idea to share some information with you, some stats. I'm kind of a data geek, so I apologize. But I wanted to share some stats.
Where's that receipt? Where's this receipt? Where's that receipt?
So true. True story. So anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about some stats, what this first year has been like. Phil's going to share the boring stuff, like,
Exciting stuff.
Whatever.
Important stuff. Maintenance stuff.
Yeah, like I said, boring stuff. But anyway, he's going to do his part. I'm going to share some stats. And then we're just going to kind of give you a little overview of just our overall impressions of this first year of full-time RV living. So let's get rolling here with the best part, which is
The maintenance part.
Statistics.
Statistics.
Anyway, so.
And I'm an accountant.
I know, right? And I'm the one who's interested in the statistics. It makes no sense. Okay, so here we go. Out of the last year, so obviously 365 days in a year, we spent 305 of them actually staying in our RV. Okay, so the 60 days that we were not in the RV, well, what were we doing then? Well, let me share with you what we were doing there. Yes, 17 of those days we were actually on vacation.
In a resort.
And we,
in the Caribbean.
When we go on
Getting
vacation,
sunshine.
we actually go away on vacation.
Yes, we do.
So we spent 17 days in the Caribbean on vacation, 2 different vacations. So that's not 17 days straight, just FYI. And then we spent 43 days at Phil's mom. So those of you who've been following us, you might remember that Phil's mom had a stroke a couple of years ago, and we spent 43 days at her house getting it ready to sell and put on the market. And so that process took us a while. Instead of taking our RV up there and trying to park it at his mother's, which would have...
She lives in the country in the middle of nowhere.
And, our RV would have taken up all of her driveway. It just would not have been conducive.
And we had guys come,
workers
coming in. Yeah. So we just said, no, let's just put it in storage. Where we are here at Camp Atterbury, they have a very nice storage lot. It's not expensive. We put it in storage and went up and stayed in the house on an air mattress, unfortunately.
Not ideal, but it worked and it was fine.
We got through it.
So we spent 43 days there. So that and our vacation time is the 60 days that we did not physically stay in the RV. So in that 305 days that we were living in the RV, here's some more stats. We did good stuff, y'all. So we traveled to 16 different states.
Wow.
Yeah. And we stayed in 24 different RV parks. Now, keep in mind that we, in some of those we were staying a week or 2, or in some cases even 3. But anyway, we stayed in 24 different campgrounds. So 12 of those were military campgrounds, and this will all play into a stat I'm going to give you in a minute. So 24 of them were military. 11 of them were public campgrounds or private campgrounds, non-military.
Non-military.
Yeah, non-military. And we stayed in 1 state park. Okay? Now, total cost. Let's get down to the bare bones here, because this is where the rubber meets the road, right? This is what people really want to know. How much does it cost to live in an RV? So, in 305 days, Phil and Mary Hendrick spent $8,878.71 on RV parks. Okay? Now, if you're doing the quick math, you may already have this number, but if you're not a mathematician like me, now, Phil, he would have had this figured out anyway. But anyway, if you're not a mathematician like me, you would know that that is $29. That averages out to $29.11 per night. Now, here's the great part, y'all. Our goal when we did this was to be right around $30 a night. And we did it. We actually came in underneath that. So woohoo! We're pretty excited about that.
Yep.
So that is what it cost us just on RV parks. Now, obviously, that does not include our gas. And as you all know, the gas prices had a pretty significant change during the past year.
Now, this year, I think we're going to track it. We'll actually start the next time we leave. We're going to be, unfortunately, for various reasons, we're going to be stuck kind of where we're at for some time. But the next time we really start traveling again, I think we'll track our gas costs just to give you information. That's
Absolutely. And part of the reason that we didn't was because gas was an expense that we always had.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it was something that was in our budget anyway. But to be fair, when you are pulling your home behind you, that gas is more of an expense than you might have had before. And with the changes in gas prices, it did have a pretty significant change here at the end. But the good news is this, and I think I actually mentioned this in a previous video, is that it didn't stop us from living this mobile lifestyle. Not at all.
No.
What it did was it made us rethink how long we would stay at one place. So for example, if we might normally travel on a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday and go through several states in a weekend, we now might go one state, spend the night or spend several nights, sometimes even a week, and then go another 4 hours up the road and stay another week. So all we did was sort of stretched that expense out.
And instead of the cost being all in one pay period, we could stretch it out. We get paid. I get paid twice a month. She gets paid twice a month. And fortunately for us,
they're alternating
weeks. So we actually get a paycheck every week, which is very nice, and it's very comfortable. So rather than spending, with the current gas prices, say $400 to travel, 4 or 5 days in a row, we now spend $100, then stay a week, spend $100 out of the next pay period, and just do it like that. And it's really given us the freedom, number one, to see some sight. Fort Benning, Georgia, for example. We were at Fort Benning, Georgia, and I was out on my walk one day, and a C-17 was dropping parachutists. So I got to watch that. That was enjoyable. Panama City at Tyndall Air Force Base found a great little oyster bar.
Basically, it just allows us to stop and smell the roses.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Right? Just take our time, slow down, which really, quite frankly, is what we should be doing anyway.
Yes, in this lifestyle.
So now we're going to talk about the boring part. Maintenance. This is where Phil takes over. Yes. I have zero interest
So here. We had some maintenance. A couple things that we did, which it just kind of happened. We didn't really think about it, but it happened, and it worked so well that we will continue to do it this way. So in October, we went to a resort and spent a week there. So what we did, we had things that needed to be done. They were all warranty things, items that needed to be done. And then I wanted to have the slides, the maintenance done on the preventative maintenance done on the slides, the preventative maintenance done on the wheel bearings, those kind of things. So what we did was I called the dealership that we deal with, which is Camping World in Greenwood, Indiana. Some people go, "Oh, camping." We have had nothing but good to say about them. We have I want to give a shout out to our maintenance tech, Johnny Jordan. She's fantastic.
Fabulous.
She's
awesome.
She stays in contact with us. She communicates with us. She is awesome. So anybody in the Indianapolis area, reach out to Johnny and tell her
Phil and Mary
sent you.
Yeah,
tell her Phil and Mary. We're not going to get anything, but she is great. So what we did was we had all these maintenance things that we wanted done. Contacted Johnny and said, "Hey, we're going to be leaving for a resort this day. We want to drop the RV off the day before." We went and stayed in a hotel up by the airport. dropped the RV off. They had it for an entire week. It gave them the time to work on it, to fix it, and then we picked it up when we got back. Same thing happened in April this month. We were going to a resort. There were maintenance things that needed to be done. We had an appointment, brought it in, dropped it off. They had it for a week, sitting there waiting on us. We picked it up and brought it back. So that's kind of the way our cadence was with having some maintenance done. We'll probably do the same thing this coming October. So we'll probably drop it off, do the same thing. I'll have the slides serviced. I'll have them check the tires, check, all those little things, the preventative maintenance things. And then I also want to talk a little bit about the things that we did. We had an issue with the BM Pro, and there's a couple videos about that. I reached out to BM Pro by email. Man, those guys are great. Give them a shout out too. Really within a day. I don't think, yeah. and usually within that day, they get back to you and say, hey, try this. We're getting ready to post a video about our fireplace. We had an issue with that.
I'm ready for that.
And we'll post a video about it because it's kind of funny.
The outcome is a little humorous.
It's a little humorous. Didn't even think about it, but hey, it'll
Live and learn.
Work out. Yeah. So be watching for that. But all in all, I think if you're a little bit handy, if you have a couple tools, probably one of the major one is some kind of power screwdriver, power drill kind of thing that is both drill and screwdriver. That's an essential. And then Allen wrenches are a big thing. Pliers, channel locks, those are the kind of things you've got to have to do just the little maintenance things. Nobody's expecting, I hope nobody's expecting me to be an electrician or to be a plumber or those kind of things. Nothing major. I don't do anything major because I could screw it up. And I don't want to screw it up. Most things are covered under our warranty.
And we don't want to mess with that.
We don't want to mess with the warranty stuff. We just call, Johnny and say, hey, we got this. And she works with the warranty department, gets an approval, gets the parts in, and we drop it off and she fixes it. So
the major quick tip that I think that we're trying to share here is two things. Number one, if you have issues with getting maintenance, the key for us is to schedule it in advance.
Yeah,
right.
And remember,
book an appointment with them. Give them time to do that process of getting the maintenance approved and the warranty and all that. And if you give them time in advance, then it will streamline that process and it'll save you a ton of stress.
And the other thing I want to say there, you have to advocate for yourself.
Nobody's going to do it for you.
Nobody's going to do it for. While Johnny Jordan is tremendous, she's great. She's not calling me saying, "Hey Phil, you got any maintenance issues that we?" You advocate for yourself. I know a lot of you out there don't have the warranty. Find a dealership. Find somebody that you can trust. Go to the websites. Go to the message boards. Go to Facebook.
Ask your fellow RVers.
Ask around and say, hey, I've got this issue. Do you know anybody who can work on it? Get somebody that you trust and work with them and be loyal to them because the loyalty pays off too.
It really does.
Yeah.
And then the second big tip that I would add, that first one, right? Schedule in advance. Make sure you give them time to prepare and be ready. It just streamlines it.
Yep.
Second thing is this. Do regular maintenance.
Yes.
Find the schedule that works for you. Right now, we just got on this October and April schedule, and you know what? It works for us.
Yes.
So just commit to doing that. We were at NAS Pensacola, and one of our neighbors was getting ready to leave. It was their depart day. They went to slide their slides in, and that baby was going nowhere. Wouldn't go in. So several other RVers were out helping, and they did eventually get that slide in. But even though we had begun this process before that, that was just sort of a reminder to us that you can't sacrifice regular maintenance.
Nope.
And we talked with our dealer and with Johnny, and she says an annual maintenance on our wheel bearings and on our slides is a good cadence.
Right.
So that's what we do. And then in that other 6 month, we just do little things that need to be fixed or just a general kind of checking over the RV. But if you commit to that, It is a small expense every year, but I'm telling you, the money it could potentially save you in the long run is insurmountable.
Yeah, because you don't want to be stuck somewhere trying to get something fixed.
And the wheels, that's the other thing. Have those checked.
Yeah, the wheel bearings.
Last thing you want, and the nice thing is when we have the wheel bearings checked, they're also checking our tires at the same time, right? So the last thing you want is to be out on the road and have a wheel issue. We actually had that in a previous fifth
RV.
wheel,
Yep.
and going down the road on
horrible.
the interstate, and when that tire blows, it not only is a lot to handle when you're trying to get that thing safely off the side of the road, but it did some damage to the actual RV trim, right? These are all those things, and if you're just willing to commit to that on a regular basis, and we feel like it'll just save us wear and tear on the RV, but it's also going to save us stress levels because we'll have fewer things that come as a surprise to us when we're traveling down the road.
And total cost, I mean, you're talking right around $1,000 for that. But again, in the overall life and the overall scheme of your RV, that's worth it. $1,000 a year,
Absolutely.
$800 a year.
I think of it like insurance.
Yeah,
right? I mean, you pay insurance every month with the hope that you'll never have to use it.
Right.
This is the same thing. It's just sort of this insurance policy on making sure that we're keeping our RV in tip-top shape.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've shared with you, just to recap, we've shared with you the really fun stuff, the data,
the maintenance,
and then we shared that boring stuff about the maintenance. And now we're just going to kind of share a little bit about, what is our overall impression, or what has been our overall impression of living full-time in an RV for a year. And I'm just going to speak for myself, and then I'll let Phil say a word or two. But anyway, for me, love it. I wouldn't change a single thing. I love the mobility of it. I love that you never know what's going to happen. For example, the campground people are out here weed eating right next to our RV while we're doing a video. You just never know.
And
You get to experience so much, right? I mean, we saw wildlife. We met amazing people.
We did.
We got to see
staying in contact with.
Yeah, we got to see some of the most beautiful areas of the country, and it's all because we're just willing not to dig roots, right? So we love it. I love it. I was not incredibly worried about living in a small space, and I'm glad I wasn't, because it's no big deal. We have everything we had in our sticks and bricks home right here in this RV. It's just smaller and more compact. You become much more intentional about what you buy and what you keep. We do a lot more window shopping and a lot less actual buying, which is good because we don't have anywhere to put it. But you just get to have the life you've kind of always dreamed of. And I will tell you this, when we tell people, they go, "Oh, where are you from?" We go, "Well, kind of all over because we live in an RV." I'm telling you, almost every single person says to us,
90% at least,
"Oh my gosh, I've always wanted to do that." And we say, join the fun. It's absolutely fabulous. We love it. We wouldn't change a thing about it. Additionally, I would like to say that you all know by now, but we chose the Jayco 355 MBQS fifth wheel as our RV of choice. It had everything we wanted. You've seen the videos. We've done tours of it. We've talked about it a lot. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't change a thing about this RV. It is exactly what we need right now at this time in our life, with both of us still working. It gives us everything we want. And I have to tell you, the quality of this Jayco RV, I have no complaints whatsoever.
No,
it's absolutely phenomenal. We were in Indiana in November, till the end of November. We were in Indiana, and if you're familiar with our climate here, it gets pretty darn cold. We were in Florida in the summer.
We were in Tennessee Middle Tennessee, and it snowed.
Yeah.
And
we
no
were
problems.
incredibly comfortable in this RV.
We've had storms. We've weathered storms. We've
high winds.
No problem.
No problems whatsoever. Phil is the primary tower, to be transparent. But I'll tell you what, I drive the truck and pull the fifth wheel too, and I don't have any problems pulling this thing down the road.
And the GMC or the Chevy truck that we have, the 2500 HD, it handles it.
Handles it fine.
Yeah, no problems. No problems. The truck handled it very well. We averaged, I would say, around 7.5 miles to the gallon pulling. Sometimes as much as 9, sometimes as little as 6, going through the mountains or going through, large hills. You're gonna, but flat surfaces or flat roads, you get up to 9 miles to the gallon. So we're very pleased with. And
keep in mind, we are a gas truck.
And we're gas.
We are not a diesel truck.
And we chose that on purpose.
Yeah. This year, with the changes in gas prices, honestly, we were kind of glad we made that decision. But so that's just a little bit on that part of it. One other thing that I will say that kind of ties in with what Phil said was we also learned that we don't like pulling into an RV campground after dark. We drive during daylight hours, and we don't like to be exhausted when we get somewhere. Here's the thing. One thing that we learned in this process was that our ideal driving time per day,
about
3 to 4 hours.
About maximum about 4.5 hours.
That's it. We don't want to do any more than that. We time it accordingly.
Yeah, we don't like to drive at night. The evening that we picked up the RV the other night when we came back from the resort, we didn't get to the campground until probably around 10 o'clock, 10:30.
And this campground
has
no security lights anywhere. And keep in mind, this is a campground we're really familiar with. I mean, we stay here a lot.
We didn't get a pull through, so we had to back in on the site we're on. And it took us probably 15, 20 minutes to get it lined up.
To get it backed in here because there's no light. We don't like to drive after dark. We don't want to park after dark.
We want to just have things easy. So we've made those conscious decisions, and we've had a great time. I've loved it. I'm like Mary. I've loved it. There are times where you go, I would like to have a little bit, but then I go outside, and sit outside if the weather's nice. Or, I'll say to her, hey, I'm going to run down to the BX or something like that,
Or just go for a run. Phil is a huge walker and runner. And so he would do that a lot, right? Yeah. And that gives you that sense of freedom, that sense of larger space when you do get a little bit of cabin fever with the small space. But I'll tell you, the other thing that's really nice about this particular RV is, as you can see behind us, this giant window. Yeah. This RV has a ton of windows. Yeah. And it really gives you that sense of having more space than you actually
do. Open the blinds, get out of the cave. I'm going to retire in the next couple years. It will give us a little more, it'll
That's true.
Yeah, feel like we're more open
because right now, we're still working. Yeah. And people say to us all the time, oh, you go on vacation 2 times a year? I mean, your life is a vacation. You live in an RV.
No,
because we're working 5 days a week.
No, it's work.
But we're still
working. So it's still
work. When we don't work, or when he doesn't work anymore, we'll have a lot more freedom.
Yeah, we will.
And then when I'm not working anymore, we'll have a ton more freedom.
Then we're going to Alaska. We're going to Key West. We're going to those long trips.
But for now,
we're happy.
This lifestyle is perfect.
Yep.
We love it. We get to spend time with the people that we love, which is what's most important to us. We have kids all over the country. We have a son in Texas that we get to spend Christmas with him and our grandchildren every year because we have this RV. We get to go to Florida and spend time with our daughter and our son-in-law and our grandkids there in the winter. We have a son in Massachusetts that we get to go up and spend time with in the summers. And then we have a son located here in Indianapolis, which we get to come back to and spend time with him in those times in the spring and the fall when it's most lovely here in Indiana. Yeah. So it really just is the perfect way for us to be able to continue to work.
Yep.
be able to travel and see the world, which we love to do.
At least the United States.
Exactly.
We
this small world.
We did the world thing.
Now we're doing the
smaller
the things U.S.
we missed
part.
in the United States.
And then really our favorite part is getting to spend time with the people that we love and not having to do it from a hotel, but being able to just simply take our home with us. And it's a place that our kids are starting to feel comfortable in as well. So there you go.
There you go. That's
happy anniversary to us.
Yeah.
And we hope that you've enjoyed spending time with us. And we got to tell you,
continue to post.
we're really excited about
Follow
whatever
us
the
on
future
Facebook,
has.
Follow us
So
on Instagram.
yeah.
Follow us on.
We're on all the social channels.
Yeah, on YouTube.
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Be sure to follow us so that you don't miss any of our videos. We also have our website, HendrickHomeOnTheHighway.com. And as always, we'll continue to just share tips about this RV lifestyle. But until we meet again, as always, we'll see you down the road. We're Hendrick, Home on the Highway.